Have you ever wondered why two people, starting with almost the same talent, education, and resources, end up with completely different lives? One climbs the ladder of success with confidence, while the other stays stuck, blaming circumstances. Is it luck? Is it intelligence? Is it family background? Jeff Keller would tell you, it's none of these. The difference lies in something subtle, yet powerful. Attitude. Your attitude is the lens through which you see the world. If it's cloudy, everything looks like a problem. If it's clear, opportunities appear everywhere. The truth is simple. You don't control everything that happens in your life, but you do control how you respond. And that response, your attitude, makes all the difference. This book, Attitude is Everything, is not just about thinking positively in a shallow way. It's about transforming your inner mindset so completely that success becomes a natural extension of who you are. Keller invites us to see attitude not as a trait we're born with, but as a skill we can build, a habit we can master, and a tool we can wield to shape our destiny. Jeff Keller wasn't always the motivational speaker and success coach we know him as today. In fact, he started as a lawyer. On paper, he had what many would consider the dream job: financial security, social respect, and a solid career path. But deep down, he felt miserable. His days were filled with stress, negativity, and the suffocating weight of routine. One day, Keller asked himself a life-changing question. Is this how I want to spend the rest of my life? The answer was a resounding no. He realized that while he couldn't change everything around him overnight, he could change how he thought, how he spoke, and how he acted. That shift in attitude became the seed that grew into a whole new career as a speaker, author, and motivator. His story matters because it shows us that transformation is possible for anyone. You don't need to be born with privilege or genius. You just need the courage to change your attitude. Many people confuse attitude with arrogance or confidence, but Keller defines it in a much broader way. Your attitude is the mental filter through which you interpret events, the way you habitually think and feel about yourself and the world, the silent but powerful force that directs your behavior and choices. Think of attitude as the steering wheel of your life. Wherever it turns, your entire journey follows. If you carry a negative attitude, you'll notice problems more than solutions, excuses more than opportunities. But if your attitude is positive, you'll naturally focus on growth, solutions, and possibilities. Skills, intelligence, and connections are important, but without the right attitude, they're wasted. Imagine giving the most advanced tools to someone who has already decided this won't work. They'll quit before even trying. Now picture someone with fewer tools, but a fierce belief that they can figure it out. They'll learn, adapt, and persist until they succeed. That's the power of attitude. Keller insists that your thoughts, words, and actions are the three building blocks of attitude. What you allow into your mind shapes your reality. The words you use reinforce either positivity or negativity. And attitude without action is powerless. This book is structured around these three pillars, and each one builds on the other. One of the most liberating ideas Keller shares is that attitude is not something you inherit permanently. It's something you choose every day. You may not control the traffic jam that delays your morning, but you can choose to fume in frustration or use that time to listen to an inspiring audiobook. You may not control whether you lose a job, but you can choose to see it as the end of the road or the beginning of a new journey. The moment you accept responsibility for your attitude, you reclaim power over your life. Instead of being a victim of circumstances, you become the author of your own story. Think about it. Who do you enjoy being around more? Someone who constantly complains or someone who radiates energy and encouragement? Employers, friends, and partners are all drawn to positive attitudes because they uplift rather than drain. When you shift your inner outlook, you naturally attract better people, better opportunities, and even better health. Studies have shown that positivity strengthens the immune system, lowers stress, and increases resilience. In other words, your attitude doesn't just change your career, it changes your entire life. We now understand the foundation. Attitude is everything. But here's the deeper question. Where does attitude begin? The answer lies not in the world around you, but in the world inside you. To truly change your life, you must first master the thoughts that shape your reality. And that's where we begin next. Success begins in the mind.
Every skyscraper begins with a blueprint. Every journey begins with a destination in mind. And every success or failure begins with a single thought. Your thoughts are like seeds. If you plant seeds of doubt and fear, you'll harvest frustration and regret. But if you plant seeds of hope, belief, and possibility, you'll harvest opportunities and growth. Keller's first principle is simple yet profound. The way you think shapes the life you live. The ancient proverb says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." Keller echoes this truth. Your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. If your mind is filled with negative self-talk, like, "I can't," "I'm not good enough," "it's too hard," those thoughts silently program you to act small, to hesitate, and to quit before starting. But when you fill your mind with empowering thoughts, "I can learn this," "I deserve success," every challenge is an opportunity. You act boldly, attract better outcomes, and persist until you succeed. This isn't magic, it's psychology. Thoughts influence feelings, feelings influence actions, and actions create results. Change your thoughts, and you've changed the root of everything else. Negative thinking is sneaky. Most of the time, you don't even notice it. It creeps in as excuses like, "I'm too old to try something new." "People like me never get ahead." "I'll probably fail, so why bother?" Each negative thought chips away at your confidence, limiting your potential before you even begin. Keller warns that negative thinkers live in a self-fulfilling prophecy. They expect failure, so they act timidly, and their half-hearted efforts bring the very failure they feared. Imagine driving a car with one foot on the accelerator and one foot on the brake. That's what negative thinking does. It cancels out your own efforts. Now, flip the script. Positive thinking doesn't mean ignoring problems or pretending everything is perfect. It means choosing to focus on solutions instead of obstacles. It's the difference between saying, "This is too hard, I can't do it," and "This is tough, but I can learn step by step." When you adopt this mindset, you generate energy and motivation. You begin to notice opportunities that others miss because your mind is tuned to possibilities instead of limitations. Think of positive thinking as setting your GPS towards success. You may still face detours, but your direction is locked in. You keep moving forward. Keller stresses that one of the most important attitude shifts is moving from victim mentality to creator mentality. Victims think life is something that happens to them. Creators think life is something they shape through choices. A victim says, "I lost because the system is unfair." A creator says, "I'll find another way to win, no matter how unfair the system is." This shift doesn't just change your mood, it changes your future. When you see yourself as the creator of your destiny, you stop waiting for luck and start building your own path. Just as your body becomes what you feed it, your mind becomes what you consume. If you constantly feed it with negativity, complaining news, gossip, toxic conversations, your attitude will inevitably sour. Keller advises making a conscious effort to program your mind for success by surrounding yourself with uplifting inputs. Read inspiring books, listen to motivational audio, spend time with positive, solution-focused people, and limit exposure to toxic media. Every input you allow into your mind is either watering the seeds of success or the weeds of failure. To help you take control, Keller suggests a simple practice. For one day, observe your thoughts closely. Write down negative statements you catch yourself thinking or saying. then immediately rewrite them into positive, empowering alternatives. For example, instead of saying, "I'll never get this promotion," reframe it as, "I'm going to improve my skills and prepare myself for the promotion I deserve." This exercise reveals how often negativity slips in unnoticed and gives you the power to flip it. Keller illustrates this with a story of two salespeople. Both face rejection after rejection. The first thinks, "I'm terrible at this. Nobody wants to buy from me." With each rejection, his confidence shrinks until he eventually quits. The second thinks, "Every no gets me closer to a yes. Rejection is just part of the process." She stays persistent, learns from her mistakes, and eventually becomes successful. Same training, same opportunity. The only difference was their attitude. Keller emphasizes that you don't wait for success to feel positive. You think positively first, and then success follows. This is why so many self-made people talk about seeing themselves successful long before anyone else believed in them. When you think like a winner, you act like a winner. And when you act like a winner, success eventually catches up. We've now seen how powerful thoughts are. They're the hidden architects of your destiny. But how do you turn those thoughts into something even stronger? Something that can pull success towards you like a magnet? The answer lies in two powerful tools: visualization and belief. These are the focus of the next part of our journey.
Imagine an architect about to build a skyscraper. He doesn't just start stacking bricks at random. He begins with a clear, detailed blueprint. Every floor, every beam, every inch of the structure is carefully visualized long before the first shovel hits the ground. In the same way, your mind needs a blueprint for your future. That blueprint is created through visualization and belief. Visualization is the practice of seeing your desired success in your mind before it happens. Top athletes use this technique all the time. Before stepping onto the field, a basketball player imagines the ball sailing smoothly through the hoop again and again. A sprinter pictures the perfect start, the flawless stride, and the triumphant finish line. By the time they actually perform, their mind has already rehearsed success hundreds of times. Keller argues that if visualization works for elite athletes, it can work for anyone in any field. Why is visualization so powerful? Because the brain doesn't fully distinguish between real and vividly imagined experiences. When you visualize yourself speaking confidently on stage, your brain begins wiring neural pathways that make confidence feel natural. When you imagine yourself achieving financial freedom, your subconscious starts aligning your daily choices with that vision. In other words, visualization primes your mind and body for success before it even happens. But visualization is not just daydreaming. It requires clarity and emotion. If you vaguely imagine being rich someday, your mind won't latch onto it. But if you close your eyes and see yourself sitting at your desk, running a thriving business you love, feeling the pride of making a difference, and picturing the exact lifestyle that comes with it, your mind starts to believe it's possible. The more real it feels in your imagination, the more motivated you become to make it real in your actions. Belief is the second half of this principle, and without it, visualization collapses. You can't just picture success. You must truly believe you can achieve it. Think of belief as the fuel that keeps your vision alive, especially when obstacles appear. Without belief, even the clearest vision will crumble at the first sign of difficulty. With belief, you'll push through setbacks because your inner conviction tells you it's worth it. History is filled with people who succeeded against all odds simply because they refused to stop believing. Keller points out that every great achievement started with someone who held a vision in their mind long before the world recognized it. Thomas Edison believed in the light bulb after thousands of failed experiments. The Wright brothers believed in human flight when everyone else thought it was impossible. Their belief kept their vision alive long enough for the world to catch up. Of course, belief is tested most when results are not immediate. You may visualize your dream career and even take steps toward it, but progress feels slow. This is where most people quit, telling themselves, maybe this isn't for me. Keller reminds us that belief is not about instant results. It's about steady faith in the process. Like planting a seed, you don't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. You water it and trust that growth is happening underground. Your dreams work the same way. One powerful way to strengthen belief is through affirmations, repeating positive, empowering statements until your subconscious accepts them as truth. For instance, saying, "I am confident and capable of achieving my goals every morning," may sound simple, even silly at first. But over time, those words carve new patterns in your brain, replacing self-doubt with self-assurance. Affirmations are like mental weights. The more consistently you lift them, the stronger your belief muscle becomes. Keller explains that belief is contagious too. When you truly believe in your vision, others feel it. That's why charismatic leaders inspire crowds. They radiate conviction. When you walk into an interview, a negotiation, or a business pitch with genuine belief in yourself, people are more likely to believe in you as well. Belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, pulling people and opportunities into your orbit. Visualization and belief also guard you against the negativity of others. When you pursue big goals, critics will appear. Some will laugh, others will doubt you, and a few may even try to pull you down. Without belief, their words will crush you. With belief, you'll see their doubts as noise, not truth. In fact, strong belief often transforms criticism into fuel. You push harder precisely because others said you couldn't. Keller suggests making visualization a daily habit. Close your eyes for 5 minutes every morning and vividly imagine yourself living your goals. Feel the emotions, see the details, and believe it's already in motion. This simple practice trains your subconscious to work toward your dreams all day long, often in ways you don't consciously notice. To illustrate, Keller tells the story of a man who dreamed of becoming a professional speaker. At first, he was terrified of standing on stage. But each day, he visualized himself speaking confidently to a large audience. He saw the smiles, heard the applause, and felt the energy of connection. At first, it was all in his imagination, but little by little, his belief grew. He started speaking to small groups, then larger ones, until one day the vision in his mind matched the reality on stage. What started as visualization became belief, and what began as belief became reality. By now, we've explored how thoughts shape your reality and how visualization and belief supercharge those thoughts into a powerful force for success. But there's still a missing link. You can think positively, you can imagine vividly, and you can believe deeply. But unless you express that inner world outwardly, the cycle is incomplete. The next step is learning how your words, the things you say every day, can either build or destroy the future you're working toward. Words are powerful. They're not just sounds we throw into the air, they're declarations that shape our reality. Every sentence you speak is either planting seeds of growth or reinforcing barriers that hold you back. Keller emphasizes that your words don't just communicate with others, they also communicate with your subconscious mind. Every time you say something, you're training yourself to believe it a little more. Think about how often people casually say things like, "I can't do this," "I'm terrible with money," or "I always mess up." On the surface, these statements seem harmless, just expressions of frustration. But beneath the surface, every word is like a command to your subconscious, reinforcing a belief that limits your potential. If you constantly tell yourself you're unlucky, your mind will filter experiences to prove you right, and soon enough, you'll behave in ways that keep you stuck. Now, flip that around. Imagine someone who consistently says, "I'm learning, I'm getting better every day," or "I can handle challenges." Their words create a different mental environment, one of possibility and resilience. Over time, they actually become the person their words describe. This is why Keller insists that you choose your language carefully. The way you speak about yourself, your goals, and even your setbacks is shaping the life you live. One of the simplest but most transformative habits is to eliminate negative self-talk. For example, instead of saying, "I can't afford this," try saying, "How can I afford this?" That tiny shift turns a closed door into an open question, which invites solutions. Instead of saying, "I'm a failure," say, "I haven't succeeded yet." Instead of declaring defeat, you declare potential. Words become a bridge between where you are and where you want to go. It's not just about self-talk either. The words you speak to others carry enormous weight. Encouraging words can spark confidence in a friend, a child, or a colleague, while careless criticism can scar them for years. Keller points out that leaders, teachers, and parents hold incredible responsibility here. A single phrase like, "I believe in you," can ignite someone's belief in themselves. Conversely, "You'll never amount to anything," can plant destructive doubt that takes decades to undo. Keller shares a story of a young student who struggled in school. One teacher told him, "You're bright, you just need to focus a little more." Those words stuck with him, gave him confidence, and pushed him to work harder. Years later, he credited that single encouraging remark as the turning point in his education. Words are invisible forces, but they create visible outcomes. There's also the danger of gossip, complaining, and negative conversations. When you surround yourself with constant negativity in language, it doesn't just stay out there, it seeps into your mindset. Keller advises being mindful of the conversations you participate in. If everyone around you is complaining about the economy, the government, or their jobs, it's easy to slip into the same patterns. But if you redirect the conversation towards solutions, gratitude, or growth, you elevate not just your own attitude, but the energy of everyone around you. To change your language, Keller suggests a practice. For 1 week, become hyper-aware of your words. Catch yourself when you complain, criticize, or express doubt. Replace those phrases with constructive alternatives. For instance, turn "I hate Mondays" into "Mondays are a chance for a fresh start." Replace "I'm so unlucky" with "I create my own opportunities." This isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about training your language to reflect possibility instead of defeat. Another technique is using affirmations, which we touched on earlier with belief. Affirmations are statements you deliberately choose to repeat, like "I am confident," "I attract opportunities," or "I am resilient in the face of challenges." The repetition of these words rewires your subconscious over time, shifting your self-image and making positive behavior feel natural. Keller reminds us that words are the outward expression of what's in your heart and mind. If you want to change your language, you must also keep feeding your mind with positivity. Read books that inspire you, listen to uplifting talks, and surround yourself with people who speak words of encouragement. The more positivity you absorb, the more naturally it flows out of your mouth. The connection between thoughts, words, and actions is now becoming clear. Thoughts shape beliefs, beliefs fuel words, and words push you towards action. You can think positively and speak positively all day, but eventually, your success depends on what you actually do. That brings us to the next step in this journey, turning attitude into action. Because without action, even the most powerful words remain empty promises.
You can think the right thoughts and speak the right words, but unless you take action, nothing changes. Keller drives this home with crystal clarity. Attitude fuels action, and action creates results. Too many people get stuck in the world of intentions. They say, someday I'll start my business, or I'm planning to get healthy. But months and years pass, and they're still waiting for the perfect moment. The truth is, there is no perfect moment. The perfect moment is the one you decide to act on. Procrastination is one of the greatest killers of dreams. People often disguise it as preparation, endlessly researching, planning, or waiting until they feel ready. But Keller reminds us that readiness comes after action, not before it. Just like a muscle strengthens with use, confidence grows through doing, not through waiting. Every time you take a step forward, no matter how small, you prove to yourself that progress is possible. Consider the example of someone who wants to write a book. They may spend years talking about it, buying notebooks, studying writing techniques, and imagining how it will feel to hold the finished product. But the book will never exist until they sit down and write the first page. That first page might be rough, it might even be bad, but it's the only bridge to the second page, and then the third. Action creates momentum, and momentum is far more powerful than waiting for inspiration. Keller also points out that inaction is not neutral, it's a choice in itself. By refusing to act, you're choosing to stay where you are. If you don't take steps towards your goals, you're effectively moving away from them because time keeps passing. The world doesn't pause while you hesitate. Competitors move forward, opportunities shift, and your potential remains untapped. One Keller's strategies is to focus on small, consistent actions. Big goals can feel overwhelming, but if you break them down into manageable steps, they become achievable. For instance, if you want to improve your health, don't think about losing 50 pounds in a year. Start with one healthier meal today, a 10-minute walk, or drinking more water. Those small actions, repeated daily, compound into dramatic change. He shares stories of people who transformed their lives not by making radical leaps overnight, but by committing to daily action. A man who read for just 20 minutes a day eventually finished hundreds of books. A woman who saved a small percentage of every paycheck built financial security over time. The lesson is clear. Action doesn't have to be huge to be effective, it just has to be consistent. Keller ties this back to attitude by reminding us that a positive mindset makes action easier. When you believe you can succeed and speak words of confidence, taking the next step feels natural instead of terrifying. Fear doesn't vanish, but it loses its grip. A positive attitude turns action into an exciting challenge rather than a dreadful burden. Of course, taking action also means facing setbacks. Keller stresses that mistakes and failures are not reasons to stop, they're stepping stones. Every successful person has failed more times than they've succeeded, but their victories shine brighter because they refuse to quit. Action teaches lessons that no amount of thinking or planning ever could. It sharpens your skills, strengthens your resilience, and clarifies your direction. One exercise Keller suggests is to list 3 small actions you can take immediately towards your most important goal. Not next week, not next month, today. Then commit to doing them. These small steps create a psychological shift. Instead of feeling stuck in the someday loop, you begin to see yourself as someone who moves forward. That self-image fuels further action, creating a cycle of growth. The bridge between thoughts, words, and reality is built with action. You can think positively and talk positively, but without movement, nothing materializes. On the other hand, once you begin acting, even imperfectly, the universe seems to align to support you. Opportunities appear, people offer help, and your own skills improve. Keller calls this the power of momentum. It carries you further than you ever expected once you simply start walking. As action becomes a habit, another crucial factor comes into play: persistence. It's one thing to start, it's another to keep going when progress is slow or obstacles appear. That's where many people falter. They expect quick results, and when they don't arrive, discouragement sets in. But those who persist, who keep moving despite setbacks, eventually reap the rewards. And this is where Keller leads us next, the power of persistence and resilience in shaping your destiny. Starting is important, but staying the course is where real transformation happens. Keller reminds us that persistence is the dividing line between those who achieve their dreams and those who abandon them halfway. The truth is, almost everything worthwhile in life takes longer and requires more effort than we expect. Success rarely comes overnight. It comes to those who are willing to keep moving forward when the excitement fades and the challenges appear. Many people quit too early. They face one rejection, one failed attempt, or one stretch of slow progress, and they conclude it wasn't meant to be. But Keller argues that setbacks are not signals to stop. They are tests of your determination. Every obstacle is an opportunity to prove how much you truly want your goal. If success came easily, it wouldn't build the character required to sustain it. Think about the stories of great inventors and entrepreneurs. Thomas Edison famously tried thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. Each failure was not a defeat, but a discovery of what didn't work. His persistence eventually lit up the world. Or consider authors who faced dozens of rejection letters before their books became bestsellers. Their success was possible only because they persisted when others would have given up. Keller encourages us to view challenges not as roadblocks, but as stepping stones. Every time you face difficulty, you grow stronger, more skilled, and more resilient. Persistence transforms problems into teachers. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you start asking, "What can I learn from this?" That shift in perspective turns setbacks into fuel rather than discouragement. Of course, persistence requires patience. In today's fast-paced world, we're conditioned to expect instant results. But lasting success doesn't operate on the timeline of convenience. Whether it's building a business, developing a skill, or creating healthier habits, results compound gradually. Keller insists that if you focus on the process and trust the journey, the results will come in time. One practical way to cultivate persistence is to break your journey into milestones. Celebrate the small victories along the way instead of only focusing on the distant finish line. This keeps motivation alive and reminds you that progress is happening, even if it feels slow. For example, if you're learning a language, don't wait until fluency to celebrate. Acknowledge the first time you hold a basic conversation. Small wins fuel the persistence to keep going. Keller also warns against comparing your timeline to others. Comparison is a thief of persistence. When you see someone else succeed faster, it's tempting to believe you're falling behind or that you're not good enough. But everyone's journey is different, shaped by unique circumstances and choices. The only fair comparison is between who you were yesterday and who you are today. If you're growing, you're winning. Another element of persistence is resilience, the ability to bounce back after setbacks. Life will knock you down, that's inevitable. But what matters is how quickly you rise again. Resilient people don't waste time feeling sorry for themselves. They acknowledge the pain, learn the lesson, and then refocus on the goal. Resilience doesn't mean ignoring difficulties. It means refusing to let them define you. Keller suggests building resilience by developing a strong support system. Surround yourself with people who encourage you, remind you of your strengths, and push you to keep going when you feel like giving up. Sometimes persistence isn't fueled by inner strength alone, but by the encouragement of those who believe in you during your weakest moments. He also emphasizes the importance of purpose. When your why is strong enough, persistence comes naturally. If your goal is just a shallow desire, you'll quit when it gets tough. But if it's rooted in something deeply meaningful, providing for your family, making a difference in the world, or fulfilling a lifelong dream, you'll find the strength to endure. Purpose makes persistence possible. Persistence, Keller reminds us, isn't glamorous. It's often mundane, repetitive, and unrecognized. But it's in those unglamorous moments, waking up early to practice, staying late to work, or trying again after another no, that success is quietly built.
Persistence is the invisible thread weaving small efforts into extraordinary outcomes. And when persistence finally meets opportunity, the result is what many call luck. People on the outside see sudden success, but what they don't see are the years of persistence that made it possible. Keller explains that this is why attitude matters so deeply. It sustains you long enough for luck to find you. At this point, we've seen how thoughts, beliefs, words, actions, and persistence all work together to shape destiny. But there's one final element that amplifies them all: the choice to live with purpose and vision. To aim for a life that goes beyond personal success and creates a positive impact. That's where Keller concludes his powerful message.
When everything is said and done, attitude is not just about thinking positively, speaking well, or pushing through challenges. It's about aligning your life with a deeper sense of purpose. Keller closes his message by reminding us that true success isn't measured only by money, titles, or recognition, but by the meaning you create and the difference you make in the lives of others. Purpose gives direction. Without it, you may climb the ladder of success only to discover it's leaning against the wrong wall. With it, every step you take feels intentional, every challenge becomes meaningful, and every victory feels fulfilling. Purpose transforms success from something shallow into something lasting. Keller shares the idea that purpose doesn't always arrive in one grand revelation. Sometimes it's discovered in small acts of service, in passions that grow over time, or in challenges that reveal hidden strengths. What matters is that you live with the awareness that your life is meant for more than drifting aimlessly. Even if you don't yet know your full purpose, you can commit to growth, to service, and to using your talents to leave the world better than you found it. Vision is the companion of purpose. Vision is the picture of the future you want to create. It's what pulls you forward when the present feels heavy. Without vision, persistence feels pointless. But with vision, even the hardest struggles gain significance. Vision doesn't have to be about changing the whole world. It can be about changing your corner of it, your family, your community, your field of work. Keller encourages creating a personal vision statement, a written declaration of the kind of life you want to live and the legacy you want to leave. This statement becomes a compass for your decisions, keeping you aligned when distractions and temptations arise. If your vision is clear, you don't waste energy chasing things that don't matter. You stay focused on what truly does. The beautiful part of living with purpose and vision is that it multiplies the impact of all the principles we've explored so far. Positive thoughts become more powerful when they're directed toward a meaningful goal. Beliefs become unshakable when they're tied to your why. Words become inspiring when they're spoken with passion. Actions become more consistent when they're fueled by something bigger than yourself. Persistence becomes easier when you know you're moving toward a life that truly matters. Keller reminds us that attitude is not a one-time decision, it's a daily choice. Every morning you wake up, you have the opportunity to choose your attitude. You can choose to drift through the day or to live with intention. You can choose to see problems or to see possibilities. You can choose fear or faith, doubt or determination. Those choices, repeated day after day, shape not only your destiny, but also the lives of those around you. In the end, the message is simple but profound. Attitude is everything. It determines how you see the world, how you respond to it, and ultimately what you create within it. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are the architect of your life. With the right attitude, you can rise above setbacks, transform challenges into opportunities, and build a life filled with success, meaning, and joy. As you close the final pages of Keller's book or finish listening to its message, you are left with both a challenge and an invitation. The challenge is to stop waiting for the perfect time, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect feeling. The invitation is to begin now, to think the right thoughts, speak the right words, take the right actions,
persist with courage, and live with purpose. Because when you do, your life becomes a testimony to the truth that Keller so passionately shares. Attitude really is everything.
And that brings us to the end of Attitude is Everything by Jeff Keller. I hope this summary inspired you to take charge of your mindset and see how your attitude can truly shape your destiny. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more powerful book summaries that can change the way you think and live. Your support means a lot. It helps this community grow and bring more life-changing ideas to you. Also, let me know in the comments what your biggest takeaway was from this book. Was it the power of thoughts, the importance of persistence, or the call to live with purpose? I'd love to hear from you. Remember, attitude is everything, so choose a positive one today and watch how it transforms your tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next summary.